2025 will be considering several key global and regional challenges, including stimulating growth to improve living standards, responding to geopolitical shocks, energy transition, and health warnings. Not to mention, they all want us to eat bugs, sell our gas powered cars, and live in 15-minute cities. But, that's just how these unelected world leaders, unelected leaders of the World Economic Forum tend to think. But they also played a very key role in how the pandemic played out only a couple of years ago. In fact, a more lethal mpox strain is surging. And now the CDC is warning of a global threat just a few hours ago today, May 16th, 2024. Now, according to the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention, also known as the CDC, more people have become infected with an even deadlier strain of this mpox virus in the Democratic Republic Congo over the last year. Now, the part about this is that this is now posing a global threat if the virus strain leaves this particular country and spreads worldwide. Now, what a lot of people are finding alarming at this time is that the CDC has just called for a coordinated urgent global action to contain the virus. A Canadian-led research team discovered this clad IB strain, which is a new form of the virus in the DRC, with mutations allowing it to spread even more efficiently among humans. Now, obviously, this is concerning. Researchers involved in this particular study, they called on the international health organizations for what they call swift action to avert another global mpox outbreak. New York City's Department of Health and Mental Hygiene, they issued a health advisory earlier this month, warning of an uptick in the clade 2 virus cases ever since October of 2023. Now it's starting, folks. The World Health Organization is now laying out its plans for disease X. At least this is what some of the experts in this particular field are calling this particular virus. And the one that's now been traced in Texas, one has now been traced in Texas with workers that are now calling in sick. It's here in America, guys. However, it's not something that's uncommon to us. This is actually called the bird flu. And even though it's rare for humans or it's rare in humans, the WHO, also known as the World Health Organization, they're acting as if it's possible that we see mandates because of it. I know. Now, before I really share all the details of this with you guys, all I ask is that you guys take 1 second, hit the like button for the video. I really appreciate this, guys. It just basically tells YouTube, hey, you need to get this information out to more people. And I also want to thank you so much for always sharing these videos with your friends and with your family. Totally appreciate this. And I feel like this is like deja vu. Like, didn't we see something crazy like this happen during the last election? I don't know. But it's just weird how all this craziness tends to happen during election years. I don't know why. I see a lot of you guys jumping in the comments. Oh, what's up, Catalia? What's going on? Lauren Holland. We got Lou David. Thomas R. Gleason Sr. What's going on? Ruggin62. All right. So now, in numbers, bird flu infections in humans, they're rare. So that much is good. I believe it's around 1,000 known cases have been identified ever since it was discovered like 3 decades ago. So that's actually a very small number percentage-wise. And this is a global number that we're talking about. So, but yet still, we're hearing the chief scientist of the WHO warning us about the possibility of this becoming even more infectious. This is what's a little bit alarming here, because they point to how deadly it can be in humans and for us to trust their judgment about this disease. And I know how many of you guys felt about the pandemic decisions and so forth, but there's one problem here. The credibility of the WHO has been buried by their actions and their words from the last pandemic. And so especially Dr. Jeremy Farrar, who serves as their chief scientist, Take a listen to this report, which actually came out just a few weeks ago. This is from the doctor himself.
This remains, I think, an enormous concern.
A word of caution from the World Health Organization's chief scientist about the risk of the avian flu spreading to humans. The virus first emerged in 1996 in China and has since led to outbreaks around the world, infecting and killing various mammals. Most recently, it spread to dairy cattle, which was linked to a human case in Texas. Jeremy Farrar says that transmission among mammals is a problem.
The great concern, of course, is that in doing so and infecting ducks and chickens, but now increasingly mammals, that virus now evolves and develops the ability to infect humans and then critically the ability to go from human to human transmission.
Infectious diseases specialist Dr. Isaac Bogosh agrees it's concern among scientists, medical professionals, and the animal health community, though he notes the majority of the public are not currently impacted.
I just sort of go back and ask myself, like, what would you do differently in your day-to-day life? And the answer is nothing. You would do nothing. You would not change any, unless you're interested and follow this closely. As of April of 2024, this would not change how you would go about your day-to-day life.
That's not to say, though, people should not take precautions, including not handling dead birds and other wildlife. No cases of the virus have been detected in cattle or livestock in Canada, but those working with them should monitor for signs and contact their vet if they suspect a case. One of the big concerns about potential increased human spread is the deadliness of the virus. Since 2003, the WHO says there's been 889 cases and 463 deaths globally, putting the fatality rate at about 52%. Bogosh says it's not the most...
Guys, I'll get to what Dr. Farrar said about this in just a little bit, but let's talk about Dr. Bogosh just for a second here. So he says that there's nothing to fear and that we don't have to change anything about our day-to-day lives. But he also says that both the epidemic and the pandemic potential of the bird flu is high. So I'm confused. Which is it? He's saying that the potential for both the epidemic and the pandemic of the bird flu is high, but at the same time, we shouldn't, make any changes in our daily lives. So I'm a little confused. It seems like it's contradictory. Is this very, very serious or is it not? Should we be worried or not about this virus? Like, which is it, right? Now, if you ask the WHO's chief scientist, we should be worried. In fact, we should probably panic if what he's saying will come true. And in a recent statement, Farrar said, Farrar may have let the quiet part out. He may have let the quiet part out loud as he said that the H5N1 virus was learning. Now, that's a little weird. When you say it's learning, like AI, like artificial intelligence kind of learning, like, I don't know if he meant to say that. Was it an accident? But he quickly caught himself and then he rephrased the term to evolving. So I'm paying real close attention to this because we've seen some craziness happen not long ago. So I'm just saying, real quick shout out to Christian H. Thank you so much for the $2 super chat. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much for the channel, for the support to the channel. Also, Thomas R. Gleason Sr. Thank you so much for the $15 super chat. Go Ron, go. Appreciate you, man. God bless you as well. I really appreciate the support from you guys. You guys are absolutely amazing. But so just kind of going back to this, when you say a virus is learning, like this is a biological virus, not a computer virus. So did you somehow tie artificial intelligence to this virus? Like I'm wondering, like, what is going on here, right? This is crazy. But anyway, he said he caught himself real quickly and then he rephrased the term from learning to evolving. So the virus wasn't learning. It was actually evolving. Okay. Or at least this is what he wanted to say, or at least he wants us to hear, because I'm sorry. If we're talking about the term learning, that might mean something completely different. So yeah. Anyway, now it could maybe even pertain to scientists who are learning or studying a virus. Maybe he got it mixed up. I'll just try to go with that, right? Which now brings me to this guy's history when it comes to infectious diseases, right? So as we know, lawmakers here in our country carried out different investigations about the C-19 virus. Back in March of last year, the Select Committee on the Coronavirus Pandemic, it released evidence regarding a specific paper that was released during the health crisis. Again, if you think back, this was during a presidential year. It was Joe Biden running for president against Donald Trump. Donald Trump was trying to get reelected during that year back in 2020 when we previously experienced something very, very similar. Here we are in 2024, Joe Biden versus Donald Trump for the 2024 presidential election, and we're getting these warnings. So it's just a little concerning, and I like to pay attention to these patterns because I don't believe in coincidences. I don't know about you guys, but I just don't. But yeah, so back in March of last year, the Select Subcommittee on the C-19 pandemic released this evidence regarding a specific paper that was released during the health crisis. This was called The Proximal Origin of SARS-CoV-2. And just to kind of cut the story short with this paper, it was basically made to disprove anyone who wanted to see. It was made to say that it was trying to disprove anyone who wanted to say that the C-19 virus came from a lab. And while most of us, we had our suspicions back then, we were pretty much told to keep quiet and just believe the science that these people were pushing onto us. It was also a time when people who didn't necessarily believe in the likes of Dr. Anthony Fauci at the time were all considered to be conspiracy theorists. Years later, and it comes out that it's highly possible that the C-19 virus came from a lab. Exactly the opposite of the paper. And do you know who made this huge change to this paper? The World Health Organization, okay? The WHO. And it was done through Dr. Jeremy Farrar. So a leaked email actually shows just how much influence he had over the people who made this particular paper. Dr. Farrar, he led the drafting and the publication process, which means he had no hand in the research. But what's interesting is what he did here. He emails and he apologizes to the he emails and apologizes for the micromanaging, but he wanted to change just one sentence. Now, you may think that, just one sentence is not a lot, but when you realize that it's basically the conclusion, it becomes a much bigger deal. So the term initially used to say that the SARS-CoV-2 emerged through laboratory manipulation was unlikely. So unlikely is the word in question. He found this to be a little bit of a weak term and changed it from unlikely to improbable. Now, I want you to think about this for a second. The difference between these two terms is pretty vast in context. Saying improbable is basically the same thing as saying that the virus could not have come from a lab, which again, we now know to be a lie, which is why a lot of critics and analysts, they're raising their eyebrows with what Farrar is saying with the bird flu, because he already has a track record of lying, not just to the American people, but to the entire world. But what if there's something deeper here? Like what if, the bird flu, it can't affect, the bird flu cannot affect bugs, right? Now, I know that you already kind of see where I'm kind of going with this, right? But for those of you guys who might be new, this is in line with what these unelected leaders of the World Economic Forum, they want us to eat. These guys, the WEF, they want us to eat bugs. They don't want us to eat any meat. They say that the cows and all of the livestock across United States farms and across the world, they generate too much greenhouse gas emissions. This is what we're told. So we need to get away from meat, start eating bug sandwiches and whatnot, right? Or in this case, maybe what they don't want us to eat, right? So that's one concern for us. Now, the other is Farrar's push for vaccines, saying that if the bird flu does become a problem, that everyone should have access to vaccines. So is this the next push? And here's where things get really interesting. It's called ARIA, A-R-I-A, and it's being introduced by the World Health Organization. So ARIA stands for indoor airborne risk assessment. So again, you see where this is going. So just like a few years ago when we were told to mask up and socially distance ourselves from each other, a very similar scenario may be happening again very soon. And so this is also in line with possible lockdowns that people, but here's the thing. I don't think that people are going to approach this the same way, if you ask me, right? This is in line with the possible lockdowns but the problem for people, the problem for them now is that people, they won't be as willing to follow this protocol this time around, I don't think. I mean, because we've already kind of gone down that road before, and we saw the effects of this, the aftermath, because a lot of us are now aware that the science doesn't necessarily match up exactly with what we've been told. Let me know if you guys agree or disagree with me on this one. And so this is true for the lockdowns, masking, and even with the vaccines. But what do you guys think about, is this a little weird to you guys? Do you think that they're trying to hatch something new with this entire narrative with this bird flu? Are they trying to scare us again? I mean, I don't even know exactly what to make of this just yet. But I do want to hear from you guys. So you guys drop me some comments down below. Let me see what you guys are saying. Let's see. People eating tasty animals. PETA. Interesting. Thank you, Lieberman. Yeah, let's try to keep it clean. Thank you, Catalia. Let's try to keep it clean in the comments, guys. Let's see. Ramona Gillette. Thank you. Vicky Jones. What's going on? Anything to get our attention of all this craziness. Thank you, Carol Ann. And some folks say, hey, this is nothing more than another distraction. This is, trying to distract us from what's going on with the presidential elections. We've got Joe Biden up against Donald Trump this year for 2024. And if Biden can't slow down Donald Trump and keep him off the campaign trail with a lot of these fake legal entanglements, then maybe they need another way to distract us. Maybe they need another way to make the election go a certain way. These are, it's wild. Like, I wouldn't put it past these folks for doing anything. I'm just saying, anything's possible, because we've seen some really wild. If someone would have told you in 2015 that in 5 years there will be a pandemic that takes over the entire world and it will shut down the economy to the point where all businesses are closed and tens of millions of people will lose their jobs, schools will shut down, parks will shut down, restaurants will shut down, mass transportation, trains, buses will all shut down, and you'll be on lockdown inside your homes. Who would have really believed a scenario like that, right? In 2015, just imagine 5 years before that, the most eventful year of our lifetime, who would have imagined that just 4 years in the future that we would have experienced something like that? Something that here we are in 2024, we're still recovering from. It's funny how Joe Biden takes credit for all of the new jobs. Joe Biden says that, he's achieved record-breaking job growth compared to any other president in American history. But it's almost as if, maybe his memory is that bad, but maybe he forgot that we had a pandemic, which took out millions of jobs, right? And so the simple fact that the economy is reopening doesn't allow you as a president, President Joe Biden, to take credit for all the new jobs that have been created. These aren't new jobs, buddy. These are not new jobs. These jobs are still coming back. And what's unfortunate is that now that, a lot of these jobs are coming back, some folks are having to pick up second and third jobs, part-time jobs, side hustles and whatnot, just to make ends meet. A lot of jobs, unfortunately, are coming back, but then they're going away because now it's artificial intelligence and AI and automation doing away with a lot of American jobs that used to help people put food on the table. So it's a really interesting dynamic that we're dealing with right now. And I'm gonna do my best to continue to keep you guys abreast of the situation on everything that's going on. I hope you guys appreciate the content. I definitely want to give a quick shout out and thank you to I am one of the people, BOR, for the $2 super chat. And he asked, would you be interested in doing a collaboration? I don't know. I'll give it some consideration. Not really sure just yet on that. Definitely appreciate you reaching out. And if you haven't already, guys, please hit the like button for the video. Totally appreciate you guys. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing to the channel for more news and updates that matter to us. For all of you truth seekers, I totally appreciate you guys. If you haven't checked out my previous video, please do so right now. I'll leave a link for you guys down below. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Y'all be safe. Take care.